All right. I'm here with Emeric Delczeg, one of my very good friends that I was fortunate enough to meet through Phil Hernan. Emeric is probably, I'd say you're one of the leading scientists in growth factors in the world, aren't you?
I'm not a scientist.
No.
I self-educated myself by talking with scientists, actually talking with the first and still the only one scientist who talk about this, who introduced me to this, the Humanifor. So I sort of self-educated me by talking to him and learning from him. And in the meantime, I did all sorts of research, studies, editing and growth factors. And I get to the point where, believe it or not, I have medical doctors calling me over these past years, asking me to explain these growth factors because they didn't taught this at the medical school.
Right.
So we talk of 1993. So now we're in 2023. Now in the last 15 years, more and more research comes out on these growth factors. And basically it was demonstrated that hormones are really important for men and women, but they are a really small part of the equation because our body longevity and health is depending on these growth factors. And people, they're confusing growth factors with growth hormone. They're two different things.
Right.
These growth factors, they act like hormone, but they're not hormones. And these growth factors from top of our head down to our tip of toes, it's everything that's involved. For example, fibrous growth factors, we're going to have to come back many times because it will take probably 10 hours to go separate on each growth factors. They form a family, and this family is what's responsible. But in general, fibrous growth factors are the architectures in our body. It's like to people, they're not familiar with this and first time they hear about these growth factors. To make it a very simple way, just picture that you're buying a lot and you want to build a house. So now to build a house, you need the workers. You need the workers, and they have different kind of professionals. You have the guy who do the foundation, the plumbers, the builders, the malterman, etc. So these growth factors are in our body. They are the workers. They the one repair. So in the beginning, when you're in embryo stage, these workers, these growth factors, they build you. Now during your lifespan, you're getting older. You, as an old house, things goes down, you need to repair. So now these workers, they build you, but now during the lifespan you're living, they are there to repair and maintain. Now, these growth factors are diminishing as much as hormones. But I just find out in latest research just a couple of days ago that actually these growth factors actually they start diminishing in earlier than hormones, and that they cannot explain why they're assuming where you live, which part of the world, what you exposed to, environment, toxicity, very poor nutrition. So all that can contribute to this. So now, in 1993. When I was introduced this Humanifor to Dr. Professor Miescu, who has many inventions, he explained me.
He was in Romania, Emeric?
Yeah, yes, he was also an atom physicist, and he has many inventions. So him and his twin brother, they were the first in the world. On their technology, they developed this technology which is patented in US and in Europe. On that, they were the first. What they did, they went and see all the research conducted on chicken embryo, and they were a first French-Canadian scientist discovered that these growth factors in embryos, but he was never able to demonstrate and do test on humans or animals because he passed away. So these two young scientists just while during they were in a medical school and in a university, they were students of Anne Ashley. Anne Ashley, if you remember, was a product called Gerovital. Was very popular.
Which one was it, Emeric?
Gerovital, and that they still have in some part in Europe, but the FDA banned it because you would have side effects. So these two Miesco brothers, they were students of Anne Ashley. So they learned some from her regarding these growth hormones and factors, but they were never demonstrated and understood. So when they get out from the university, two young scientists, they were gave me a territory. It was in Romania, a part of Romania where the cows wouldn't get pregnant. So that's the first big research they had on the hand to find out why in that particular area the cows didn't get pregnant. So they took samples on the pasture, the grass, and analyzed, and they find chemicals. So they find out where the chemicals comes from, and nearby was a chemical factory. And they had no this back then. They had no this filters and select, so you didn't get out in the air. So that these chemicals went out through the chimneys and settled on the grass. So the cows was on pasture eating the grass, and that's how these chemicals get in, and they became sterile. So first subject they were tried their extract from the chicken embryo. They were on the cows. So they gave the cows the extract, and they all get pregnant. For next step was, now we have to do research and science on humans, and that's how it started. But the first research was on cows. Now, a lot of people question, and I had many questions. I had biomolecular scientists, I had physicians, doctors. They said, it's no way you take this orally, it will survive in digestive system in the acid environment. Is impossible.
No, I'll add just for people listening, Emeric, and this makes me, it's a great thing to bring up. Well, people's fear of like growth hormones and food or things like that. You cannot, not only is growth hormone species specific, you could inject an entire bottle of cattle growth hormone into a human and it would do nothing. But digesting it, your body eradicates those. So that's where people are looking and saying, oh, the stomach's going to just eradicate this, but you have a way around the situation with this product. So for those people, they're injecting growth hormone and they don't know what's happening. I mean, most of the gurus I know, they know about when you inject human growth hormone, what's happened. But these newcomers, they sign up in the gym, and 2 months later, they want to be more drugs and hormones, everything to shortcut. Now, when you inject human growth hormone, your liver converts them over growth factor. So that's growth factor, which is good because you need that IGF-1 growth factors, yes? But that's only one. Where's the other 23 fibrous growth factors? Where the neural growth factors? Where's epidermal growth factors, connective growth factors? I mean, it's more than just one growth factor. So yes, now you're injecting that growth hormone, you really convert them IGF-1, which is very important, but they're injecting growth hormone because it doesn't come from a source where you have all the growth factors, you have an entire network, because these growth factors, they have a communication system. They have called cell communication. So these growth factors, fibrous growth factors, they are involved in every single cell communication. They're restoring damaged cell communication. Because when we get ill, we have the disease, it's a cell communication problem. That means the cells, they're not communicating, they cannot communicate and go to repair where to repair. Now,
in case cell communication is existing, and you need to, let's see, you need to repair your ligaments, tendons. Okay, for that you need to accumulate collagen in the body. You need connective growth factor. You have no connective growth factors, doesn't matter how much collagen, you can take all the vitamin C. It's not the growth factor responsible to require and supply anywhere you need this in your body. It's not there. So you can have the messenger, telling, hey, I need repair material and I need this connective growth factor to accumulate the collagen. Now, suddenly it's not enough connective growth factor. You don't have, so you don't have the worker, So you give the collagen, the material, but the worker is not there. So it's like you're building a house, you have all the bricks there, but you don't have the guys to put the bricks up.
Yeah.
So this is one part, and it's many, many different applications, and it's more going to be find out what we know in 2005. It's old. So what we're going to discover, because it just took, I mean, in the last 3 years, they discovered the fibrous growth factor 23. Till then, we know only 22. Now, Professor Miescu in Romania, he explained me, it's many things we'll discover there. I'm an old scientist. If some younger scientists, they come around, they're going to find out and they're going to discover many growth factors. The chicken embryo, it's a wonderful thing. The chicken embryo, it's the easiest, the fastest you can develop an embryo. And they are using this chicken embryos for this example, vaccine development, So when you want to develop a vaccine for a virus, what they do, they drill a little hole on the shell, and the egg has already a embryo in development. It's very, very early stage, could be only a couple hours. So detecting this virus in the egg white, so the virus looking for living tissues in life, so try to go attack and get to the embryo, but this embryo also has a fantastic self-defense mechanism, develops self-defense. The embryo is surrounded, it's like a gel, and that has cationepeptides, which are prevent bacteria and virus to add to the embryo, and also protease inhibitor, which also, it protects them. Now, they have synthetic cationepeptide, and they have synthetic protease inhibitors. The protease inhibitors synthetic they're using for HIV. It's just this, the way this embryo developed and this protection is just unbelievable. So now get back to the growth factors and the hormones. Now, it has to be clear, growth hormones is very important, and growth hormones can only help you one growth factor, IGF-1. Now, testosterone replacement, that's very easy. See, when your testosterone level drops, you inject and you monitor and you do blood works, and you're going to be sure that everything is normal range. Anything out range is not good, not good. Now, when we talk about testosterone levels, adult male testes produce the most testosterone. It's some produced in the brain and other tissues, but they're very minimum. So we focus on men's testicles, what produce. So adult male can produce between 3 and 10 milligram a day. 10 milligram a day is very rare. You like a genetic freak. When you see guys, they never worked out, so muscular, they have this genetically.
Guys like Michael Hearn.
Yeah. Now, so if you do blood work, by the FDA regulation, they came out, if you have 300 and it's not lower, doctors, they should not give a prescription, which is ridiculous, because
it's retarded.
300, you're almost down with a woman. So my experiment what I did on myself, and I was consulting a retired professor from Berkeley, Dr. Kutzburg. His specialty was hormones. Then also my personal physical medical doctor was Dr. Buckley, and also I consulted Dr. Serrano, and I get really good friends with Dr. Serrano. Actually, in 2005, I will tell another day the story how we became friends. So what I did, first of all, when I did my first professional bodybuilding contest, I was only on Tribistan and Humanifort, and I didn't want to compete as a pro because I didn't want to use anabolic steroids. So I was sort of talked into it to try it out. It was a bodybuilding contest between United States and Romania, and was held in San Francisco. So the heavyweight was kind of out of shape, so they called me because I'm a dual citizen. I was representing Romania all my life as amateur bodybuilding in 4 different world championships. So they called me and said, we're not going to bring the heavyweight guy. Are you in good shape? I said, yeah, I'm in good shape. So he said, okay, then we want you to step on stage. It's just a goodwill contest. We're not going to have half Romanian going to win and half Americans. So it's just basically was a friendly visitation, and Pax Bill put it together. He covered the airfare, everything for the Romanian team. And then, so when they saw me, they told me, the Romanian delegate, he said, wow, you look better than the heavyweight champion. So would you please start representing Romania as a pro? So I said, let me think about it. So the reason I looked good because I was already in the Humanifort. And what I noticed, I was 43, 44. What I noticed when I was staying in Humanifort, my recovery time was as quick when I was 17, 18, 19, my recovery. Because faster you recover, faster you put size on, and you can train again. Back then in Romania, I was working out twice a day. I was doing also for a short period of time Olympic weightlifting. I went to sign up at the club because I had no weights home, and I saw all those Olympic national team weightlifters from my team. They were training twice a day. So when I came to the United States, I see all these people, they're scared to work out twice a day. I said, why? The muscle recovers in 6 hours. So once you work out, you replace your nutrition, all the nutrients, carbohydrate, protein, you can go train the same muscle again. The secret is don't overload the joints, because the joints, ligaments takes more than 6 hours. If you torture yourself with heavy weights like 6 reps, 3 reps, for example, on legs, you can do legs, probably every 5th or 10 days.
With that too, Emeric, we start getting into the micro tearing, and then we have downtime on recovery too.
Oh yeah.
Guys that, I'm guilty of it. Like when I was younger, I didn't have, like yourself, you in Romania, you had a group of people that were very experienced weightlifters. Remember you talking about you went to an Olympic coach for learning to squat, things like that. A lot of, like myself, I just lifted way too heavy. And
you know what?
Not only my joints, but I'm full of scar tissue.
In bodybuilding was no training, was no trainers.
Right.
They didn't. Well, they were Olympic weightlifters. They had no clue. As a matter of fact, in Romania, at one point, they were trying to talk out youngsters to be bodybuilders because they were about going to be no more Olympic weightlifters. Because suddenly the young generation, looked better. They were not as strong as weightlifters, but they looked better. So.
Correct.
They were looking, the girl's gonna look towards, they're gonna idolize me, etc. So now, with it's so much talk about. So we have to select quickly because I don't be all over the places, So I would just give a little teasing on, for example, John started with a belt. the rubber bands belts, the X3.
Yeah. Mhm.
Because that was a really good idea. And we're familiar in Romania because we use the bands, but used to for warming up. But because the Eastern blocs, they were focusing on very heavy Olympic weightlifting because the communism tried to show that athletes in communism is superior to the Western because the Westerns they have too easy life, they spoiled,
Yeah.
mom's boy. So they try to show to weightlifting that Eastern Europeans dominate the Olympic weightlifting, they're the strongest. So all they need about how to increase your strength, but no anything focusing on muscle building. Yeah. So
which in turn,
when I started in bodybuilding,
yeah,
then I start to learn about how some people they do negatives. And I incorporated the negatives, and I was working out, and let's talk about bench press. So I got stuck with the weight on my chest was too heavy to press him. So I have somebody either touch my elbow to lift the bar. And the way it went up, I said, I told you don't, just barely. He said, I barely touched him. Then I was thinking about, if something has to be here with a muscle-mind connection, because then I start studying the premotor, the motor, the how you organize in the front lobe and goes back to the cortex and all out. So I was thinking about is something that has to there because I don't know how much he helps. In my brain, I don't know, it's 10 pounds, 20 pounds. Then immediately, I don't know that. I don't have that message. Then
there's no connection.
I have many muscle fibers disconnected. It could be one or thousands. So then I started doing the other way. I was doing this. When I put heavy weight on, then I did my reps. Then I get to the point where I can't do anything. Instead, somebody helped me. They just stripped on the both sides 10 or 10, 20 pounds, and I was able to make the positive motion. And now they put them back again. And it was totally different. Immediately, I know what happened. Just because I know it's 20 pounds off, my brain registered and was all in the system. I know that it's 20 pounds less. So when John came out with this theory, I understand totally, because you need heavy load where your muscle full contracted and the strongest. You don't want to extra when you're on the weakest link. You want to add the strongest link.
Exactly.
So what John came with, that is fantastic. And that's all true.
It's the same principle you came up with weights years ago. You're adding weight in the contracted phase in order to give weight in the contraction. Exactly. But the problem is if we then when they take the weight off, there's still enough tension to keep the blood flow cut off. Yeah. But you're able to get the weight back up into a safe place to put all the load back on, and you don't stop the set.
Yeah. So it's very, just to hold the muscle isometric for minutes, it's good, but you don't have you don't have the flow coming. The blood has to flow.
Contraction.
So for example, when you do bicep curl, yes, you have up here. Now when you're full contracted, where the rubber bands get the hardest, now you get they have a heaviest load on that point, because if I have you curl a bar and hold them there and hold them, I have one guy on one side, other guy, we start loading up weights on the side, you still able to hold it. Now suddenly have twice as much weight. Let's say you do a curl with 80 pounds, you hold them there, we're adding another 80 pounds, still holding it. But you let them down, you can't move it up.
Right.
So that's exactly what that band's doing.
Yeah, your X3 is in the mail right now. It's on the way to you.
Okay. So I've been using bands.
You got to use the X3 a few times.
I love the weights because it's in my blood.
Well, you lifted them all your life.
I add the bands to the weights, so the weight is light. So only what I'm doing where the bands on the relaxed mode is very tension. I add little weights, a little more, but not as much to not able to go through the weakest link to get to the strongest link. And
Yeah.
so
I think you're gonna really, really enjoy the X3. And then, when you go to the gym, whatnot, you bring it with you. But it's anything like the curl, the military press, a deadlift, it's set up for us to just do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I never was a heavy deadlift.
Yeah, me neither.
Not because I can do it. I didn't like it because I was worried about injuries.
Yeah.
So that's why I like the Romanian deadlift, because you can go all the way down. Just to the knees. Now with a rubber band, you're doing the motion and you have them exactly the safest, and you stabilize it, it doesn't go out. Because when you go too heavy, you go all the way down, boom.
Yeah. And I have corrected a lot of issues, and then all my friends that are using the X3 doing the banded deadlifts every day are correcting all kinds of issues, because the tendons start to pull in the beginning, but it's not anything that's going to hurt them. And once the muscles in the contracted phase where all the fibers are grabbing, those tendons, then all that connective tissue pulls just enough to create enough of an inflammation. It starts to soften it back up, and the muscle starts to hypertrophy. So as those tense, dense, like scar tissue filled areas full of collagen and all that starts to actually soften and dissipate, and the muscle becomes larger. It's amazing.
Yeah. So those when you have that heavy weight on a full contraction, I'll show you do a little muscle tearing, and then next day repairs when you're eating. Yeah. So heavier load, bigger will be the gain and hypertrophy. But you have to know when you load that muscle.
Yeah.
You can load them the wrong way. And for example, most of the guys, when they turn biceps, it's not up here. It went down, like people doing deadlift, and they do one hand, underhand, and overhand. The underhand biceps, boom, snap.
Yeah, the short head will snap right off.
I said, don't do deadlift like that.
With the bicep head, I was thinking, it doesn't matter. But anyway, my own experience, Emeric, we'll talk a lot more. I appreciate everything you just said. We'll talk a ton more. We got a lot to talk about. So like today, I just wanted to get, some words. I wanted you to say everything you just said.
So what we're going to do on the next episode, we're going to talk about strictly on what is the best hormone therapy doses, at what age. Also, we can talk about next time, if you are competitive bodybuilder, why it's so important to restore your hypothalamus function minimum three times a year, because they're not restoring it by doing just only 200 milligrams a week. That's not restoring.
Right. And that's where I'll explain where, I just went through this.
Yeah. And I don't believe in receptor saturation. No. I believe on that you became same as you became insulin resistant, your body lose sensitivity to androgens.
Well, it builds up SHBG and estrogen and everything else when you're taking these bolus doses. You're taking a bolus dose all at once, and then your body builds up that estrogen and SHBG, and it's got you. It caught you. But your hypothalamus is still shut down.
Depend on the dose it's being used. For example, androgen dose like testosterone. It depends on the dose. Your estrogen can take between 30 to 90 days to come down. It depends how much you use. For example, somebody using that 800,000 milligrams, and they suddenly stop today, but without using any inhibitors, it can take up to 90 days to come down to normal. Testosterone, residential half-life is only 4.5 days. The termination half-life is 4.5 days. Residential is longer, but the termination life, its half-life is very short. It's 4.5 days. So testosterone drops quick, but once you boost up your estrogen with too high doses, it will take 90 days. Now, some guys, they're using inhibitors, and they don't have the money to go to do blood works. They just taking the inhibitors because the trainer told them you have to take this and this and that, and they know, because if you lower too much your estrogen, it's not good, because estrogen is very important to keep your heart healthy. So anything anybody does has to be under doctor's supervision. Nothing because that guy told you in the locker room. You have to use your common sense and be smart. Rest in peace, John Meadow. Rest in peace, nice guy, beautiful, nice guy. And I hope I'm not going to get attacked, because I spoke with him a couple of days before he passed away, because I saw the video. He was telling he was out in the sun, dehydrated, and has a blood disorder. And also his physician recommended to him, do not use more, maximum 100 milligram test a week. And John said that, oh no, my body needs 200 milligram. So you can say that your body needs 200 milligram. You don't know how much body you need.
Yeah,
it's not such your body needs 200 milligram. You have to follow what your body would make normally. And what was your normal levels when you were a younger man, that you need, not 200 milligram. So unfortunately, I feel really bad. I feel really sad. Unfortunately, good people, smart people sometimes can do a little mistake, and that little mistake can be dramatic.
And myself, you've helped me a lot. Same thing. Since I think I've been on your protocol now for 9 weeks, something like that. And I just had blood work done.
I'm gonna put the light on because I see it's getting dark here. It's better now.
So, in my experience, Emeric, you know, I'm just trying to share this so everybody else can experience, like, I guess, get a touch of what I just went through. I had been on TRT and cycled on and off and things like that for years. I officially got on TRT, I think, when I was 30. Okay. And my original TRT was like 300 milligrams a week. And
that was suggested by a physician?
It was through a clinic.
Wow.
Yeah, that's not the point. The point is, my hypothalamus has probably been shut down most of my life. And definitely. I didn't even ejaculate anymore. Like, I had a girlfriend that actually thought I faked orgasms because nothing came out. Poof. So, and my testicular function has actually started working again. And I went to the doctor. I came off all of my heart meds, and my doctor about shit himself. We shook hands when we got done. I'm just going to cut the video off here. We can talk afterwards, but we shook hands when we were done. He knows about you. He knows about Dr. John Jagush. He knows about what we're all doing. And I told him exactly the dosage that I was taking. And he agreed that I'm no longer on any of the meds. So, after 3 heart attacks, and, it wasn't all the TRT, but it didn't help. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I have a new lease on life, and I want to share that with everybody. And not only that, you're coming out with a lot of other products, and even because of the expertise you have in epidural growth factors, you're coming out with some skin creams and things like that. We'll touch base on all that stuff, but we'll do another video within the next week or so, and you and I and Dr. John Jagush will do one here pretty soon. So thanks for doing this with me today, Emeric, and until we meet again.
Yeah. So this today was just like a salsa, was all kind of stuff in, but next we're gonna go step by step, because it's so much to explain that's impossible to explain just in 1 hour.
Just do a little chunk at a time.
But eventually, I'm going to see if I can get a couple golden era bodybuilders like me, if I can get
Yeah.
on a podcast
Yeah.
to hear how their life changed since they went forth.
Yeah. I'd love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Okay,
Now,
Mike. So,
let me know when the X3 hits the mail, and then we gotta
okay.
run you through a workout.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to definitely use it for deadlift for sure.
All right, brother. I'll talk to you
Okay.
soon. All right, bye.
Okay.